This is a true story. A Japanese rescue team risked it all, braving freezing temps and low oxygen, only to end up getting sued. It goes back to December 2013 on Mount Fuji. 3 seasoned pros and 3 beginners planned to meet up at 4 a.m. Their meeting point was Tarobo, about 4,000 feet up, but right at the start, one of the experts had to drop out last minute. So, the remaining 5 geared up and headed out. The weather near the peak looked clear, but it was a freezing 5 degrees Fahrenheit. By 10:20 a.m., the crew made it to Station 8, sitting at an elevation of over 11,000 feet. Here, one of the experienced climbers felt sick and decided to head back alone, leaving just Miyata, the last expert, with the 3 beginners. Miyata felt the pressure of leading 3 newbies alone, but after a quick break, they pushed onward. The biting wind got worse the higher they went, slowing their pace to a crawl. At 11:05 a.m., they reached the 11,800-foot mark and stopped for a breather on a steep, icy slope. Miyata decided to rope everyone together for safety, thinking if someone slipped, the others could anchor them. But this technique takes serious skill and split-second reflexes, something Takahashi totally underestimated. Suddenly, one climber lost their footing and went sliding down. Instead of holding the line, the rope dragged the other 3 down with them. Like kites with broken strings, they slid over 400 feet down the mountain until slamming into some rocks, leaving all 4 motionless. Another climbing group higher up saw the whole thing. They shouted down, but got no response and prepared to go help. But their leader, Shimizu, stopped them. He knew the slope was way too dangerous. Getting down safely was near impossible. So at 11:14 a.m., Shimizu called for emergency rescue. His group stayed put, waiting for the pros to arrive. Knowing the rescue team would take time and every second mattered, Shimizu's group hiked up to the summit to find a safer way down. They hit the summit at 11:45 a.m., took an alternative route down, and made it back to the accident scene by 12:40 p.m. It took longer, but it was safer. But the rescue team still hadn't arrived. Shimizu called again and found out the chopper had flown by but couldn't land due to thick fog and heavy winds. Checking the victims, Shimizu's team found one climber already gone from severe trauma. Miyata and Takahashi were conscious but immobilized with broken legs. The only female beginner suffered pelvic and rib fractures. The rescuers covered them with warm gear to keep them alive just as the chopper returned. But intense turbulence and zero visibility kept the chopper from getting close. Even for top-tier pros, a rescue here was impossible. Running low on fuel, the helicopter had to pull back to refuel. Left with no choice, the group called emergency services again, desperately looking for another way out. Police stated that the Shizuoka Prefectural Police Air Unit could launch again within 3 to 4 hours. Meanwhile, the ground rescue team set out on foot from the 7,800-foot station to reach them. Police advised Shimizu's group to head down first, as waiting too long in the extreme cold would drain their strength. Around 2:30 p.m., Shimizu's group prepared to descend. Knowing how grim things looked, the injured female climber fought through the pain and stood up, begging Shimizu to take her along. At 2:30 p.m., Shimizu agreed to take her with them down the mountain. On their way down, they could hear the distant roar of the helicopter returning. By 3:48 p.m., the rescue chopper arrived back at the scene. Seeing Miyata rapidly losing consciousness, the team prioritized airlifting him to the hospital immediately. With the sun setting fast, rescuers faced a strict deadline to finish before 4:33 p.m. After Miyata was airlifted, another helicopter arrived on site at 4:08 p.m. Takahashi was quickly secured and hoisted toward the chopper. At about 650 feet up, a rescuer held onto the aircraft while working with crew inside to pull Takahashi aboard. During the pull, they noticed Takahashi's foot was caught on the landing gear. As the rescuer tried to adjust the angle, Takahashi accidentally slipped from the harness, nearly falling to his death. The rescuer instantly clamped Takahashi with his legs while the crew inside grabbed Takahashi's collar. Seeing the crisis, the pilot slowly descended to just a few meters off the ground. During the descent, the rescuer's legs gave out and Takahashi fell 13 feet to the snow. The rescuers landed again to reattach Takahashi to the harness. Exhausted and suffering from rapid elevation changes and altitude sickness, the team struggled to secure the harness efficiently. During the attempt, the chopper's landing gear repeatedly hit the ground. The chopper's max hover limit was 10,200 feet, but they were sitting at over 11,100 feet. With thin air and low pressure, the chopper couldn't generate enough lift, making hovering dangerously unstable. At 4:30 p.m., the crew was forced to abort the rescue. rescue, hauling the exhausted rescuer back into the cabin. They wanted to send another crew member down, but conditions inside were too severe, forcing them to call off the operation. By 7:30 p.m., after a grueling 6.5-hour trek, the ground rescue team reached the crash site only to find the deceased climber. Takahashi was located where he fell from the helicopter about 2,100 feet away from the initial slip site. Blinded by pitch darkness, the ground team searched until 8:30 p.m. without finding Takahashi and had to abort again. At 8:45 a.m. the next morning, the ground team finally found Takahashi, but sadly he had succumbed to cardiac arrest. In total, 2 climbers lost their lives, while the other 2 survived with non-life-threatening injuries. In January 2016, Takahashi's widow sued Shizuoka Prefecture, claiming negligence by the fire and air rescue units and demanding 92 million yen in damages. The lawsuit was ultimately dismissed, but following the incident, the air unit decided to ban helicopter operations above 10,100 feet.